قسم الجمارك المعتاد على إلقاء القبض على تجار المخدرات معلومات سرية.
I received a call from a source of information. He knew this female in Miami who had stolen and smuggled Rubens' painting. The keyword was smuggled, and we worked smuggling cases, so we knew that we had something that was potentially worthy of investigation.
حين قابل ديفيد مصدره علم أن البائعة هي امرأة تدعى أورلي بيكن.
He said it was a Rubens sketch painted on a thin wood panel. It really meant nothing to me at all. I wasn't familiar with Rubens. I wasn't familiar with his works at all. This was the first and only case of this type that I've worked. It was brand new to me.
جمع ديفيد طريقة ليساعده في التحقيقات وكان بحاجة لأن يرسل أحدهم متخفيا.
I asked an agent in our group, Hank, if he would meet with individuals in an undercover capacity and represent a buyer. He was the oldest agent in the group, and he had a pretty extensive undercover experience in narcotics cases and other customs type cases. And he looked the least likely to be suspected of being a law enforcement officer. Had the source contact Orly by phone, and he told her he had someone who might be interested and would like to see the painting. So we asked Orly if she could produce it.
كان هانك بحاجة لمقابلة أورلي ورؤية ما الذي تعرضه للبيع.
Place in the lobby of a hotel in Miami Beach. Orly suggested that location. She felt comfortable there. At the meeting, two Latin males arrived with a briefcase. That was the first time we knew of anybody else besides Orly being involved. The painting was produced from the briefcase.
They had painting that they wanted to sell. Hank was playing the role as the buyer's representative.
He didn't do a lot of talking at the meeting. The source did most of the talking. Hank just looked at the painting, made a couple of mental notes. We didn't know what he was looking for.
كان اللقاء ناجحا للفريقين، فقد ظنت أورلي أنها وجدت زبونا، فيما رأى هانك اللوحة التي اعتقد أنها تدعى الفجر.
Told us it's a painting on a thin piece of wood, and it's a fat lady sitting on a cloud holding a lamp in her hand. It was in a subsequent telephone call where they started to talk about the price. Orly stated they wanted $3.5 million for the painting. She wanted to be paid in cash. He said that was fine. Of course, he knew we were never going to pay her anything anyway.
في هذه المرحلة كل ما كان يعرفه ديفيد عن اللوحة هو أنها رسم تخطيطي لروبنز وأنها ثمينة جدا.
Initially, we started doing research to see if we could, identify any Rubens works. An agent in our office, Zach Mann, went to the University of Miami Library.
We wanted to look at any artwork that we could compare to the description.
كل ما كان زاك يملكه هو وصف هانك والاسم الفجر.
So I was looking through the books.
Zach located a picture of the painting in one of those books.
كانت الصورة متطابقة تماما مع ما رآه هانك أثناء اللقاء. المشكلة هي أن اسمها خطأ، فقد كانت تدعى الأورورا. حين عرض زاك الكتابة على هانك تعرف عليها فورا، ثم قررا الاتصال بالكاتب البروفيسور جوليوس هيل.
He had a photograph from one of Dr. Hell's books. I had spoken to Professor Julius Hell.
كان الدكتور هيل الاختصاصي الأول في أعمال روبنز في العالم، لكنه كان مسنا جدا فلا يستطيع المجيء إلى ميامي، فاقترح الاتصال بتلميذه تشارلز كريبنر في نيويورك.
I spoke to Dr. Charles Scribner, another Rubens expert.
I got a telephone call at my office. The voice on the other end of the line said, "This is Special Agent David D'Amato from U.S. Customs." My immediate response was, "Oh my God, what have I smuggled? What am I in trouble for?" And then he went on to explain that he'd been given my name by Professor Julius Held, who was the world's leading Rubens and Rembrandt expert.
كان الدكتور سكريبنر يعيش في نيويورك، وكان قد عمل لدى البروفيسور هيل، فعرف بالتحديد اللوحة التخطيطية التي كانت الجمارك الأمريكية مهتمة بها.
Hank's description of the aurora as a fat lady sitting on a cloud holding a glass is a fair description, if somewhat cruel. I mean, she's only fat by comparison to Audrey Hepburn and current day actresses. In Rubens' day, she would have been considered an ideal woman. They wanted me to come down on Saturday. I knew that I had two very young children, and I knew my wife would be furious if I took off and said I'm going to Miami Beach on Saturday and left her with the children. So I explained to them that I could not come down Saturday. Could they wait till Monday? And they were very uneasy about that because it meant keeping the criminals on the tenterhook over the weekend, and they might suspect something.
كانت الجمارك تخشى أن تفكر أورلي بالانسحاب من السبقة.
Where she really started to get cold feet was in subsequent telephone conversations. She had contacted the source between meetings, and she said it seemed like it was going a little too easy. She even asked the source if how well he knew Hank, and how well, whether or not he knew Hank was a law enforcement officer. And the source assured her that he was not, and that she could proceed, everything was fine.
بدأت أورلي بإعادة النظر بالسبقة حتى أسرع هانك في تدبير اجتماع ثاني.
We had told Orly that we would have an expert on that day, but it was a bluff. I had spoken to Professor Julius Held, and I had spoken to Dr. Charles Scribner. So we had the experts giving us characteristics to look for. We were told to look for a crack about a centimeter in from the left side, running straight down from top to bottom. Also the stylus pinpricks, we were told, ran along that crack. The catalog reference number was in the lower right-hand corner. It was painted on in a white paint. We were told to look for certain blemishes, like these blemishes down here, this dark spot here, this scratch right here. And we could also see all these things in the photograph that we had by that time of the original painting. Hank went into the second meeting. He was wearing a wire. He also had a camera hidden in the briefcase. We have agents around, so we were monitoring the whole thing from outside.